right, everybody. We've got two very special guests, one returning, one brand new with us today. I want everybody to welcome to the show Dinesh Shamdasani and Adam Freeman.
Hey, that's me.
Hey, guys. Hey, welcome.
Guys. Thanks so much for having us on.
Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, we totally have a scripted show today, and it's not going to be off the cusp. No, I'm just kidding. We don't do scripted shit here.
You guys aren't really organized. I didn't know Adam was going to be here. I'm not sure that I would have come had I known that I was sharing the.
This is more of a group therapy session, and that's
what. Yeah. I do want to say, sending over the cue card guy beforehand, that was really a nice touch. Yeah, you're doing great, buddy. You're doing great.
Yes, yeah, he's great.
I spent all day writing the script to this. It's quality work, and we spare no expense.
We just can't let it go too long. The cue card guy's arms get tired.
Yeah. They send you a cue card guy, Adam?
Yeah. They didn't send you.
They must have seen your other interviews.
Boom.
Oh my god! Wow. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Thank you.
We're just doing this, right? We're just making fun of Adam for the entire show.
It's a roast.
That's what I told him. I said we need a show where I can just be like in a dunk tank for an hour, and here we are.
That's our starter.
I did want to point out, not to put you on the spot, but you guys did have like the same sweatshirt on, and now
it got warm.
Adam. Okay. Adam didn't want to match you. He switched to working back on.
It's warm in here. I got warm.
Okay.
And then somebody brought me some water. It's warming up rapidly. Also, you guys sent this whole lighting package, and I just didn't realize how warm it was going to get until after the gaffer left. And so
those aren't LEDs. That's real spotlights. There.
You're telling me, baby.
They get hot.
Listening, I am. That makeup person though, not great.
All right,
I don't need a spotlight. I can just put my face in the view of Adam's forehead, and the reflection is good.
Wait, did we just get a bald joke from another bald guy? How does that work?
It's the most insulting bald person.
You guys just like reflect off each other.
Exactly. It's a continual amplification loop until that's why we never are in the same place at the same time. It's just the whole thing.
It's just too much.
It's like time cop. Yeah,
it's like time cop. I love it, guys. We're going to talk about some stuff today related to comic books.
I suppose.
Adam, it's your first time on, so I don't know if you want to just give us the story of how you two best friends started working together, got this all started up, and I want to hear your version of it because it's all sunshine and rainbows from Dinesh. But
as a boy in Hong Kong, I couldn't get comics. So there was this dude who had his dad, I think, or uncle, like kept bringing comics over, and he would like rip us off. And then I had this other friend who.
You're not Chinese.
Huh?
I don't understand. You're not Chinese. You said Hong Kong.
Yeah. I was in Hong Kong at the time.
Do you speak Japanese?
No, I don't speak Japanese. I only barely speak English, and I have this weird lisp occasionally that nobody really understands. So anyway, I was in the. Never mind. No. Yes. Hi. Yes.
No one's gonna get that joke.
No one's gonna get that joke.
No, I got it. If you go back to the first episode, Dinesh told that same exact story.
It's exactly
to everybody out there. If you want to understand the joke, go back and listen to the other interview. What are you doing?
Why did you not watch that before watching this one? It's like jumping into season 3. I don't understand. Anyway, yes. My name is Adam Freeman. I do spell it that way. I've been in comics for my entire adult life. I was a retailer for many years. I won that Eisner Award as a retailer.
There it is. Nice.
And then eventually moved on to publishing, where these guys found me. They needed somebody who spoke retailer and could talk to a lot of retailers. And so I started in Valiant in 2011. Yeah. And then it's kind of been that ever since. Like I've just been working with Dinesh and a crew that has gone. We went from Valiant into Bad Idea, and little dalliances here and there. I do some other work outside of that. I work in comics. I've sold comics for I don't know, decades now. I think that's it.
When you say speak retail, is that like you get in a meeting with people and they're like merchandising? Is that like? And then everybody nods their heads. You leave the meeting. You're like, all right, we're good to go, guys. Is that how it goes?
Keystone merchandising. That's right. Yeah, no, I do I was a retailer for 15 years. I 5 working in a shop and then 10 owning it. So part of the reason that I was that I made transitioned into publishing was that I understood what retailers needed to hear and how to build programs that they would respond to, and still do. I still stay in touch with the network of, I don't know, a couple thousand retailers, and so that has been a big asset for me in the industry. But since then, I've kind of become I went from sales to, like, I think my last title at Valiant was a VP of sales. Here I'm the VP of sales and operations. I've fallen in love with how comics are made, and how all of the systems work together. And I'm good enough at it that I keep fooling people like Dinesh to
No, you're killing
teams. What's that?
You're killing it. Adam is one of the absolute best. Speak retail means I can tell you from my standpoint what it means. It means you understand the obstacles, the problems, and the work experience of retail, which is a very specific business, and it's not really logical. And if you haven't worked it, it can be a little foreign. So having worked it, Adam's done it for a long time. He's able to talk to retailers and say, "Hey, I know that you're going to have to deal with this new thing we're developing in this way because that's your system, that's your process as a retailer. Here's how we've taken that into account," and that's very, very valuable.
Yeah, the direct market, what we call comic book shops, right? And we call them the direct market because it came out of the newsstand market, and then changed significantly in the way they were buying those books. It has its own systems and its own quirks, and the people who are drawn to be retailers they're all as individual as their own thumbprints. Each and every one of them has kind of the some of the same things that they all are guided by, but each one of them is so different that all collectively it makes up a very complicated system. So you can't just walk into trying to sell into comic shops in the way you would try to sell to, I don't know, pet stores or Walmarts or whatever. Like that, there are enough little quirks and things like that there's demand for people like me, that have fallen in love with that kind of that world and the people. Like many of my best friends are still comic book retailers, and so I try and stay in touch with what it is that they need and kind of keep that in mind as we grow.
Go ahead, Chris.
I was gonna say, could you like maybe just give one or two, like what kind of things have you done to like get stuff into retailers? Because what I hear from a retailer I know personally and just from dealing with creatives a lot is like it's really tough to get into shops because Marvel, DC are going to sell. Like people are going to, like, take me for instance, I'm going to buy my Captain America, my Daredevil,
of course,
and to get indie stuff it really has to draw me in some way or have a big name creator attached to it or something like that, with some exceptions. So how does Bad Idea get in there and kind of put their footprint into these shops?
Yeah, I think that you said it yourself, right? As a comic book fan, you're motivated by certain things, and our goal is to reach you. I mean, if we can reach you, then the comic book retailer, it's up to them. It kind of incentivizes them to have it on the shelves or have it in your pull box or have it for consumers who are like you. But beyond that, like a big part of what we do is reach out to the first fan, right? The comic book retailer himself. The reason that he got into comics was he was a fan. So either finding that retailer or finding that the person who works for that retailer is oftentimes a big part of what we do, is communicating to them why they're going to be interested in this. So one of the biggest pieces on our calendar is Comics Pro, which is the annual meeting of the only trade organization for comic book retailers, and they all get together, and we get an opportunity to speak to each one of them and do these roundtables and meet them at the bars and do big presentations. And really, all of that is in service of converting them as the first fan of what it is that we're doing, so that we can then go into their shops and they can be the ones that are kind of infectiously giving that energy to you as a fan. So, I mean, all of it it's all tough, right? I mean, you just said yourself, you have a lot of people on the show that are always struggling to get into comic book shops. It's not easy, but it definitely can make a big difference. And there's a reason why these companies like ours are still around.
And if I could also ask, what's like the biggest hurdle you've had with retailers and getting Bad Idea into the shops, or have you had any?
Our biggest hurdle?
Yeah, like
Um,
what's the thing you hear the most from retailers? Like, I would bring in Bad Idea, but like
right.
this I'm not a fan of, or something like that.
I mean, sure. I think that there are the way we developed Bad Idea was to create something where uh, we can work together with the store to kind of control how what the fans experience is of our books, right? How they see it, how they first interact with it, how they hear about it. We wanted to make sure that all of the efforts that we were putting into it kind of flow down through the retail experience. So we created some rules, and those rules are as much about communicating to the retailer, like, there's a certain kind of retailer we want to work with, as it is saying, here's how those things work. So I would say that some of those rules have been, I mean, they're new. They're not new in other industries, but they're definitely new in the comics industry. And so I think explaining that to different people has been sometimes a barrier for them to jump on. But I would say for the most part, that's got to be it. Like, we make great comics, right? And our
Correct.
goal is to make sure that the fans get to experience those great comics. So the stores that we work with are, they come back. They're ready to do those things because they trust us and know that we we want to help them make more money, and we want to grow that fan experience. But they come back because they know we make great books. And like all of this stuff, all of it begins with how great the books are. Everything else is about, is just about like shaving tenths of a second off our time.
I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit, to be honest. Adam has built a very robust program. Personally, knows so many retailers, gives them real one-on-one service or discount rates for the books themselves are the best in the business. Frankly, Adam built that. We provide them a ton of point of purchase promotional items, POP dumps, all sorts of things like that. Adam and Anthony as well. Anthony Miltano and Adam Freeman work together on the sales side, and they're very robust in what they do. We have I mean, you haven't talked about it. We have a wait list of stores trying to get in.
I was just going to ask that. Like, if I'm a comic book store just opened up and want to have your guys' books, where do I start? How does that? What does that look like for a new?
Drop us an email at sales@badideacorp.com, and we let you know. I mean, we are a seasonal publisher, so that means that we will publish for 3 to 6 months at a time, and put out like a full slate of books and make a big deal out of it and be very loud and send people into the stores and get them energized. And then we take a break. This is baked into like the DNA of the company, is these breaks, and that allows us to spend the time that it takes to make really great books. But it also allows us to kind of spend the time retooling the back end, taking a look at what did work, changing, tinkering with that, making sure that it's the best thing for the creators, for the retailers, for us. Making sure everything works better. So we're in one of those off seasons right now. So anybody who sends us an email will just basically send them, say, hey, here's what our philosophy, here's what we do. When the time comes, we will let you know what it's going to take to get on the next list. But absolutely, we want to hear from you.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You have a wait list, you said, Dinesh, too?
Yeah, we've got 250 stores at the moment. Bad Ideas destination stores, we call them, and we self distribute. So our fulfillment, we try not to go above that right now because we want people to be able to get the books all at the same time, all at the right time. But we've got a wait list of over 100 other stores trying to get in. And every time we're on this off season, as Adam puts it, we're building our systems. We're trying to make them bigger. We're hoping when we come back, we'll be able to announce 300 stores this time. It was 200 last time, 250 this time. Hopefully for 300 next time. That's
And
our
there's
goal.
a vetting process. So,
Yeah.
when he says hopefully, we want to make sure that it's the right stores and that they are, that they get what we're doing and that we get who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll say my experience is like I travel across the U.S. quite a bit for my job, so I've been into a lot of different stores, and the new and upcoming stores that are carrying Bad Idea, their business is pretty good to begin with. I mean, they have people coming in and chatting with comics, and the stores that
Nice.
I've chatted with are like, everybody knows they like old grumpy comic shop owners, right? That they're like musty comic shops, and the ones that I have seen that haven't really bought in or like got into the bad idea thing are, some of them don't seem to care much about indie. They'll say, "Oh, my indie books, sell like shit." But when you go into the store, all the indie books are in this like one little corner.
Yeah. No
They're
light.
all no light. They're not organized. There's no love for the indie. So it's like, it's almost like a give and take, right? You gotta give a little bit too, right? I mean, it's not like you can just sign up and everything will be great. I don't know. That's the way I see it. But
Well, very much. We've made that part of our program. We have 7 rules that the retailers have to follow, and to be honest, largely they're there to kind of weed those stores out. At Valiant, we were in every store in the country, every store in the world, and it limited us in terms of the kinds of programs we could put in place for them, because we couldn't do programs that would benefit our best stores without doing it for everyone, and that made them cost prohibitive. Now we can do things we never were able to do before, and it's really helped the stores that are bad idea destination stores sell even more bad idea books.
Yeah. And that was the goal in all of this, and creating this destination store program, was to say, we're going to have a limited budget, right? We want to be able to spend on the stores to help them sell. So how do we best put that budget to use? And the way is to use the buy-in of it. Here's the secret. I do some consulting and I do some other work with other publishers. One of the biggest things I tell them is the 80-20 rule applies in comics. If you don't know what that is, basically it's a thing came from economics that says 20% or 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. It's the same way in comic shops. Every retailer, every publisher has about 20% of the stores they sell to is where 80% of their sales come from. So what we said was, how do we only focus on that 20%? Right? The other 80% will figure it out. Some stores are sub-distributing, they're buying from other stores. That's happening, right? We know that our books are getting out there, even through not our destination stores. But the ones that we're spending on, the ones we're spending time with, the ones that we're creating programs for, is that 20%. And we're able to do that because of this program.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've
think
said
a lot about comic shops.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
Well, and I've said for a while, like, even amongst people who may criticize some of bad ideas, marketing, we'll put it there. The thing I will always give you guys credit for, and will always give you the benefit of the doubt, even if I disagree with some of that quote unquote marketing or whatever, is that I saw videos of lines outside of comic stores.
Yeah.
I've never seen a line outside of a comic store outside of Free Comic Book Day.
Right.
So for that alone, it's just eternal forgiveness for any sins. Just the fact that you got people to stand outside of a comic store excited about a comic book.
Yeah.
I love that we have lifetime immunity from Chris being pissed.
Yeah. You could murder people, whatever. You got people to go to the comic shop.
I'll help bury the body, guys.
Lines outside of comic book stores. Did I mention that already?
Yeah, that's all I care about.
No, but he's figured it out, right? You figured it out. That's the thing that we hope people understand, is we do all these shenanigans because the other way doesn't work. This way works better. And if you look at the results, it makes total sense. I mean, even look at our Kickstarter. One of the benefits inadvertent benefits of the Kickstarter is people look at it and they go, I guess everything they're doing is working. There's a quantifiable number here proving that all the stuff we're doing is working. A lot of publishers have gotten in touch actually during this campaign saying, hey, that other program you're doing, how do you do that? And I think what's happening is they're looking at this going, okay, this is proof of what we suspected. There's a method to this madness.
Yeah.
It's not just chaos.
Yeah.
And thanks for the nice segue to the Kickstarter.
Sure.
Because we've all had these like preconceived notions about Kickstarter. We're like, yeah, you charge way too much for a friggin' book. You'll never get funding. Clearly that's not the case here. Whether it's like the amount you're getting for the book, what you're getting, who's writing it, who's doing the art. But like, I mean, here we're at almost like you're upwards over $300,000 on a $10,000 goal.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So just talk about Megalith, like what's going on here, and why do you think it was so popular?
We have this book, just for anyone that doesn't know, we have this book, a massive odyssey of a book. It's been 5 years in the making. We approached this from this standpoint. We thought to ourselves, everything in comics is the thing that the reader doesn't understand is It's not how good you are, it's how good you are at the speed comics requires you to be. 12 issues a month, constant, 22 days to get an issue out. You're building the story of a movie every month. They get years. So what happens if we get years? What happens if we say, let's give a comic book the time it needs? That's the most potent ingredient in any creative endeavor, is time, to make the thing better. And we give it a kind of an unlimited budget. So Matt Kint is our writer. He's concocted this incredible story, big science fiction action epic of huge scale. Luis LaRosa, who in my belief is the best living illustrator in the world, is our artist. He's putting more work into this than I think anyone is capable of doing. It is his magnum opus. Just taking a look at the pages, people will see. I mean, go to our Kickstarter, look at the pages. You've never seen anything like this before. We brought Laura Martin, who is de facto the best colorist that's ever worked in the business. Before, later, she's the best. She's on this book. And Taylor Esposito, who won the Ringo for Best Letterer, is our letterer. We put this all together. We've got this massive story. And then we had, because we've been working on these pages for a long time, a lot of big artists and writers said to us, wow, this looks amazing. Can I help celebrate this? So we've got people like Joe Quesada, Lanil Francis Yu, James Harron, Miko Soyan, Thomas Girello, a bunch of us we haven't yet announced of equal stature, all coming in and telling short stories in what we're calling the world of Megalith around this main epic. We're putting all that together in a hardcover, and we've got a bunch of other kind of merchandise things in a Kickstarter that we launched about 15 days ago, and it's been great. Anything I missed there, Adam? What I miss?
No, I think you hit it all. I mean, and once again, it was all in celebration of this incredible book, this incredible effort, and once again, it was about, this is the value of how Bad Idea works, is that we give comics the time that they need in order to create books. We don't insist that we are constantly on comic book shelves, so we're insisting and pushing people to, past what is quality. And then once it's done, we get the opportunity to create the marketing plan that makes sense for this book. That doesn't happen in comics, right? They have very systemic marketing that goes, everything has to fit in the same cookie cutter, because you've got 30 people in an office that you have to feed, because you have to churn these books out. We've chosen not to go that route. So we get to do things like this. And I think that the number that we're at, I mean, it's incredible to see how this thing has exploded. Just goes to that, how well that model is working.
And that's something we've done on purpose. There's only 5 people at Bad Idea. We're a very small shop, which is, I think, another thing people sometimes are surprised when they learn. Is Adam Freeman, myself, Josh Johns, Anthony Miltano, and Peter Stern. That is it. That's our entire team. All the creators are there. Obviously, they're freelance. But in terms of building the operations and getting this stuff done, building Kickstarters, etc., there's just 5 of us. And we love it, and we work really hard. I think partly that is why the Kickstarters worked. There was a bit of an energy to that, working fast, working hard. I think the energy is in the books. I think it's in the campaign. And also we try and give a really good value proposition. The tiers are aggressively priced, but you get a lot for that. The first tier that you can get the hardcover at $125, you also get a bunch of, you get the Joe Quesada Megalith Zero, you get the complete hardcover, you get 3 issues, individual issues that are rare comics. You get a bunch of stuff with that. And the hardcover includes, we're not trying to skim here. The hardcover includes everything that you would want in the story, the entire story, all the world of, and we've included all the black and white art, high-res scans that Luis LaRosa did, the entire story, like an artist edition in the hardcover, all of it one, as opposed to splitting it off, so that we can get people excited and people can feel comfortable that they're not being gouged here. They're getting value for their money.
Yeah, actually, that's one of the things I was looking into prior to this. Was a criticism I heard a lot was the price of this, the one especially you just said, the $125. And what I heard a lot is $125 for a hardcover. And I guess you kind of answered it there, but I mean, could you go in any
Sure.
more depth on why that price range for this book?
Sure, Megalith is a book that will live on. We have the entire campaign is built because we looked at the book and we thought to ourselves, this is an incredible book. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity to work on a book like this, of this stature, of this quality. We need to meet this challenge in terms of publishing, printing, marketing, the physical component of the book. What's this book going to look like? We had a meeting. We talked about our favorite, most luxurious experiences with single issue comics. And we all came to Marvels, the Alex Ross book, with those incredible acetate covers, the cardstock interiors, the super lush printing. So we went out, we met a bunch of printers, and we got access to a printing press that no one's ever used in comics before. It's usually reserved for very high end, like Tash and things like that. Ink densities, ink saturations are off the charts. We got hold of special paper. We got a hold of acetate, and we came up with a new model for how to use that acetate. All that is financially irresponsible. So we said, okay, what do we do here? How do we make this book a reality? We thought the fans would want this to happen, and we think they'd be willing to help pay for it. So we started a Kickstarter, $10,000. If we can get to 10,000, now it's less financially irresponsible. We'll do these single issues. So at some point down the road, when the hardcover's out, the single issues will be out too. If $125 feels like not the right price point for somebody, if they don't want all the World of Megalith stuff, they don't need the artist edition, etc. With everything bad idea. If you're patient, it'll be in stores. It'll be in stores at a reasonable price. Here, we're trying to say, if you're excited, if you want the souped up version, if you can't wait, this is for you. But we're not building it for everybody. And that's kind of where we come at everything at Bad Idea. At Valiant, we want it to be something everybody loved. Or liked, I should say. We want to be something everybody liked. Here, we want to be something that some people absolutely love. Some people's favorite thing ever is Bad Idea, but it isn't for everybody, and we know that. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Love that answer.
Yeah.
So
great.
just to add on to what you said there, this will be in comic shops as like a mini series or a maxi series or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's front and center on in fact, the name of the Kickstarter is Only You Can Help Bring Megalith to Comic Book Stores. We wanted to put that in the name, really up front and center. Again, we don't want people to misunderstand what's happening here. We don't want people to say, hey, I didn't know this is going to be single issues, or hey, I didn't know I wasn't getting this, or I was getting this. We've tried to be really open and clear and transparent about that, because it is an unusual way that we're releasing this. And we're doing that because it's an unusual book. Again, there's never been a book in our minds like this, that looks like this, of this quality. Therefore, we need to create some new mechanisms. And that creates confusion because nobody can look at something else and say, oh, it's like that. So we're trying to be very upfront. Yes, the books will be in stores. The main series, the Matt Kinn, Louis Rosa, Laura Martin, and Taylor Esposito's story, that will be in stores. The other pieces, the World of Megalith shorts with Lenio, Francis Yu, those guys, we haven't figured out a plan yet for that. We're going to do our best to try and fit them in at some point. It may be an even longer wait, though.
And has this been, I'm sorry, Mike, but has this been the first book that you guys have collected into a big trade?
We don't do collections. Everything Bad Idea is very specific. We don't do trades. We don't do collections, don't do digital, don't do variants. We did our first attempt. We've had a lot of pressure to do collections from the stores, from the fans. We're not immune to saying maybe things have changed. Maybe we made a mistake. Maybe the marketplace has changed. Maybe the fan relationship has changed. So we did a Kickstarter last year called Stop Bad Idea, where we said to the haters, if you want us to go away, just raise $2.6 million. Give us $2.6 million. We'll happily go away. We didn't expect them to do that. We didn't expect the thing to work at all. We weren't even sure we'd hit our $10,000 goal. That campaign did $150,000 rough. I think it was $146,000. That was a complete hero trade hardcover. That's David Lapham and Matt Kint. And we were very surprised by that, which is where we started to think about Kickstarter as a method of distributing for specific types of books. And then now cut to a year later, it was the right choice, we think, for Megalith. So this is the second time we've ever done it. I don't know how many we'll do. We don't have any plans on at the moment for another one, but I wouldn't be surprised if something came along that felt like it required this treatment again.
Yeah, and you touched on the no digital. So I'm an all digital guy right now. I have been for a few years, and I still have my collection. And begrudgingly, I went to shops and bought your guys' books.
Awesome.
But as much as all him and ha, you got me to go back to a comic shop and buy the friggin' books. But is there have you thought of? I mean, there's no. I don't expect you guys to be doing digital anytime soon. Have you had a thought process of is there any way to get that inclusion with what you're doing, or is it just completely cut out?
No. We're not we're not beyond saying to ourselves, have things changed? Have we made a mistake?
Yeah.
Does something that felt like the wrong thing to do now the right thing to do? We don't do digital for two reasons. We don't do digital because it's a very small marketplace. The numbers bear out to low single digit percentages of the entire marketplace. That is unique across all entertainment. In video games, it's over 50% of sales are digital now. Movie business there's a lot of streaming, we all know. Here in comics, for reasons that we don't want to point fingers, certain circumstances have resulted in a very low adoption. In fact, at one point it was about 20%. It's dropped dramatically over the last 5 years, I would say. That's one reason. It's just not a huge consumer base. The other reason is piracy is rampant.
Yep.
All those pirated files that you see online are not people scanning the books. They are literally just ripping the Comixology pages, the scans. So we have almost no piracy at Bad Idea. We have
That's good.
Someone literally scanned ENIAC and Hero Trade, a couple books, and you can see the pages, you can see the shadows on the scans. But most of our books have remained off of those pirated sites, which really helps to sell through in stores. We do have, I don't know, it's not greenlit yet. We do have a program that we're talking about to kind of test, just dip our toe into digital and see if there's a kind of a different way to do digital than has been done before that may be beneficial in certain situations. But across the board, digital availability for Bad Ideas, not something we're thinking about right now.
Okay. Mike, let me ask you. You said you're mostly digital now. Like,
Yeah.
what's your motivator there? Like, what's your biggest?
I mean, space right now. I mean, I have like 3,000 single issue comics and bookshelves full of trades. I just don't have the space for it right now. For somebody who's reading more and more every week, but like you said, I mean, the structure for digital sucks between like what happened with Comixology, going to Amazon. Now to find all my books, I have to go to, several different websites and stuff like that if I do want a pull list or something like that. So mostly it's space. I mean, it wasn't the same money because most of them are the same price, right? So but I mean, truly though, I like to collect physical comics. So what I would do is like I'll read like 6 issues digitally and then go buy the first issue or go buy the trade to have on my bookshelf. That way I'm saving a little bit of space, but that's just the way I've been collecting for the past few years, just because of the the size of the storage we have and things like that. But and I've talked to some people that are all digital too that are running out of space they just look for key issues now and they read new comics digitally because you can. And for me, it's convenience too. I can't bring my issues with me everywhere, so I travel quite a bit and I'll use my tablet. I'll bring my tablet with me and do it that way. So a couple factors come into play.
I love the space component. I remember when Comixology was at its height, I loved having my iPad with all my favorite books in the history of comics on there. I'd get on a plane. I would fly a lot back then. And I could research anything. I could reference anything. I could reread something if I wanted to.
Right.
It doesn't really work that way, and it's a bummer. I think if someone did come out with the right kind of system for it, huge adoption. One thing let me ask you. One thing I've always struggled with is the page view. Are you able to see the entire page at the same size as a comic book when you read it?
Yeah, I think Comixology. Yeah, Comixology works better on a tablet. If you try to like read it on a PC or something, it's atrocious. But on a tablet, I think you have a specific size. I think I have a 10-inch tablet. It works pretty well.
Oh yeah, 10 inches.
Yeah, depending on the screen. But that being said, I do believe there needs to be a complete overhaul of how it's done, whether it's to get rid of the piracy, tying those issues specifically to the buyer. I don't know how you do that, but yeah, it's someone a lot smarter than me has to get involved.
I
think personally, from my end, I'd read digital because of this show, because we get sent digital copies. Other than Bad Idea, I don't get sent physical comps of anything. And I have my tablet for it, and I think I bought the cheapest tablet I could find because that's all I use it for. But what I do notice that I do a lot of the pinching trying to like get in on the image because it's not big enough. Where I actually have my stack here. Like I prefer my floppies to read, even though like Mike, I am definitely running out of space. But I sacrifice my house for that
experience. That's the thing that we struggle with is working with the artists. They build a page with a subconscious kind of full image for you. If you look at the certain artists that will build kind of subliminal symbols inside of a page to guide your eye, to give you thematic. Obviously the best, David Aja is very famous for this. Dave Gibbons is very famous for this. You miss that when you see a third of a page, a half a page, or panel by panel. You're not actually seeing. It's kind of like pan and scan versus widescreen.
Mm-hmm.
You think you're getting an experience until you see the widescreen. You're like, actually, I kind of missed a layer of storytelling here. That's one of the things that we struggle with as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that being said, I hate the panel to panel, like on my phone or something. I still need to have like a full page the way I'm viewing it, whether it's on my PC or so. Yeah.
And and 2-page spreads on digital are like, it's just, there's no solution for it.
Yeah, you always flip to that page and you're like, shit, man, I did not experience this.
Yeah,
and
I try to flip my tablet and I'm like, all right, well, I still need to zoom in. Yeah.
Like, is that Ant-Man? Is that Ant-Man? Yeah, I think that's Ant-Man down there.
You're right. And I'm remembering some of my favorite experiences in comics. I remember reading Death of Superman and sometimes there's a couple issues before they do the splash page, there's these sub-page spreads and it's, oh my God, this is the moment.
Yeah.
Right. And you're right. In digital, you do miss that. You get the, oh, someone just died.
Yep.
But you don't get the impact.
Right.
And no, actually, from a marketing standpoint, I think that part of what we've seen with Kickstarter is we've seen other publishers actually really do well in the comic shops because of how well they did in the Kickstarter. Right. It ends up being that we used to talk about the newsstand pushing people into comic shops. Like you would discover something in the newsstand and then you want to get into it. You go to find a comic shop. Kickstarter has become that. In its heyday, digital comics was that. Right. When it was getting to like 20%, like what it was doing was expanding the market. And like that, so that's a big piece of how we've looked at these things, how we looked at Kickstarter. And as Dinesh said, how we've been tinkering with the idea of digital is that we're looking for ways that are expansive to the market and expansive to our audience. Right. And not just diminishing, not just trying to like capture a larger piece of that diminishing pie.
Yeah.
Right?
So
that's interesting.
Saying that kind of leads into another question I had. What do you say to people that are out there saying like bad idea isn't really doing anything for comics? They're just trying to create a spectacle and profit off of what's left of this industry.
I mean, those people are. I couldn't think of a statement. This is obviously self-serving. I couldn't think of a statement that is more 180 from what we're doing. I can't even justify what there are, you hear things that are objections to what you're doing and you can say, okay, well, I understand why you would feel that way. And here's what we're doing and why we're doing it. That's a statement that I don't even understand where it comes from. We are literally no digital, no trade. So and the big reason why we don't do collections is at Valiant, we found the vast majority of our collections were sold at Amazon. In fact, got a call yesterday from another publisher asking about Megalith, giving us advice, saying you need to do an Amazon version for this. You will sell gangbusters. Whatever you made here, if this is the audience demand, you're going to do tenfold on Amazon. We just straight up won't do it. We refuse. We don't want to put money in Amazon's pocket when we can put that money into store's pocket. If it takes longer, that's okay. We're still going to net out fine. It's the same for us. It's just a cash flow issue, which we can manage. But that's why we don't do trades. So we don't do trades. We don't do digital. We don't do variants. All these things are built to try and.
He just doesn't want you to talk to them.
It's a retailer, so it's definitely a store. It's Ed being like, hey, I got to get in here.
Yeah.
Ed from Collector's Paradise. We deal with the stores on a day-to-day basis. We haven't had a single complaint about our Kickstarter. You got to turn the program off.
Yeah, I don't know.
What are they calling you on, Adam? What are they calling you on? Skype? Telegram?
No, it's just my wife's computer. I had to, in order to hit their specs. So I don't know how to call this, like, do not disturb.
You go to settings and you detach the Apple Share from the phone.
Okay. I will try while you tell. Maybe.
Or maybe go on mute. Maybe go on mute.
Yeah, I'll do that next time. That's a problem. Okay. Yeah.
It's Gabby's.
Do I keep that in or do I?
Yeah, you gotta keep it in. You might as well just keep it in now.
I'm gonna call Gabby randomly when he's talking next. It's gonna be hilarious.
God, don't you dare.
I got it right here, Adam. It's going.
Yeah.
You're gonna forget about it in 20 minutes.
I'm gonna be on a roll, and it's just gonna. God damn it, Dinesh.
I don't think gonna happen. So in terms of we're here to what was it? We're here to just pick at the bones of what
basically of the comics industry. Yeah,
I do love that phrasing.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't really see it because we're a small operation. We work ourselves to the bone. We're not making a profit the way we were at Valiant or could be making here. We're not in every store, which is because we're not trying to be greedy. Where the impetus for Bad Idea was a bunch of people that like working together, a bunch of friends, creators, publishers, etc., getting together to keep making comics after a kind of unfortunate change of hands of the company we were at, Valiant. We were like, we want to keep doing this. but we don't need to take over the world. We're not trying to build another Marvel. So the ideology that we're trying to pick at the bones of comics is really weird, because what we're trying to do is just keep doing the minimum of what we're doing. The seasonal publishing model is us saying we don't need to make that much money. We don't need to put that many books out. We'd prefer to make less money, put less books out, and make the books better. But having said all that, I don't really want to squash any kind of negativity, because the negativity is quite helpful. One of the things that we realized when we launched Bad Idea was it's not helpful to have people that love us. They don't really talk that much. It's not helpful to have people just hate us. It pushes people away. It pushes people away. But if you have both, and they're arguing all the time, then you kind of own the news cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And people
That's
are hearing
true.
about you a lot. And that's one of the hardest things for new publishers, to get that awareness.
That and having donuts with comics is another.
Yeah, we got to talk about these donuts.
Yeah,
Hey,
there's
talk about the donuts. Everybody else going to start making donuts, man. Come on.
yeah, I
Nobody
know.
can make that perfect donut, Adam. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Only we got that perfect donut.
Twice the flavor per bite. It's like eating 2 donuts at once.
Yeah.
So first, Adam, this is just for me. This I don't care. We're on a show right now. How do I get a copy of Bunsen Beaver? So how do I get a copy of Bunsen Beaver? Is he holding one?
I would recommend, if you can, like, if you can get a flux capacitor, it'll allow you to go back to Comic-Con and and just
get in line.
for $20. $20.
Yeah,
oh.
$20. Yeah.
Flux capacitor plus $20.
There you go.
All
simple. Right. It's a simple
I'll
solution.
go to my lab after this.
That's not us being. It's not on purpose to be mean. It's on purpose because there's just 5 of us. Honest, even this campaign, this Kickstarter campaign, people are like, "Can I get the Hero Trade collection?" Well, no, because we're not going to go back, and it's too much work.
Right? Yeah, you're not going to do it again.
We're working on the next 3 things right now. I mean, that is very true. That is very true, and that is part of what we're doing is just hitting it and moving on. Is that we don't spend a whole lot of time looking at the other stuff. But as Dinesh pointed out, like we did reprint. Have we reprinted Bunsen one?
We did. So to answer your question, we will send you one. I will send you one. Forget Adam. I will do it.
Nice.
There are copies on eBay, of course, but even better than that, if you want the collectible version, you got to go to eBay or secondary market. But if you just want to read the story, it was reprinted in, I can't remember exactly which issue. I want to say Orc Island 3. We reprinted the Bunsen Beaver story, which we should have sent you guys a bunch of comps, and that would have included Orc Island. So
okay,
you actually already have Bunsen Beaver.
We probably,
because I also was I bought all the first 2 waves of Bad Idea as well, so I had all those books.
Thank you.
I don't think I've gotten to Orc Island, so that's funny enough that I've been like, that's the one book I don't have, when apparently I do have it just sitting in my corner right now.
Yeah, we just sent it to you.
There you go.
It's phenomenal. Josh Dysart, Alberto Ponticelli, Matt Hollingsworth. Dave Sharp. It's a phenomenal book. One of the best reviewed books we've ever.
And that's Dysart coming off Odin's Eye.
Yeah.
That book
if you like Odin's Eye, this is several notches above Odin's Eye.
It's so, I mean, we're taking up a lot of your guys' time today, but I think between, like, you know, what you've done, what you've learned, and what you're doing with the Kickstarter, let's talk about the future, because it is seasonal comics, right? So for the next season, obviously we can expect some awesome things. Is there anything you guys can tease for us that we can be expecting for the new season, like story styles, teams that you hit working with, anything like that?
I can tell you my opinion, which I'm going to get in trouble for saying this.
That's all right.
We had a group of books that we looked at.
You think it's all right, Mike? He says he's going to get in trouble. I know what I mean.
Yeah.
Oh, it's okay. You're going to be fine.
You wait to hear what I'm going to say. You're going to be angry at me. You know who I'm going to get in trouble with? I'm going to get in trouble with the creators. That's who's going to get upset with me.
Yeah, that's true.
Because we had Bad Idea 2, and we said, these are the books in Bad Idea 2. And there's a ton of books. We want them to be one giant thing, but we're going to split into 2 parts. Now, how do we split that up? Normally, we would sprinkle different genres, different creators, different levels of quality, perceived quality across both. We said to ourselves, let's take all our favorite books and put them here, and then the rest go over here. And here is amazing books. I mean, we do work really hard. Orc Island, The End, Escape from Wyoming, all the books that came out in this slate, The Finder, really great books. But here, Bad Idea 2 Part 2, the slate that's coming up, I can say completely confidently, the absolute best books I've ever been involved in, had the pleasure of being involved in. Every single one is a 10 out of 10. I'm very excited for them to come out, because I'm very excited for people to look at us and say, something really interesting is going on, a Bad Idea. That was 5 right hooks in a row. That never happens. And I think publishers will look at us and say, there is merit to the time off. There is merit to the slow approach. There's merit to not try and take over the world. And that's, I think, going to be our challenge, is to be disciplined and not get greedy and not get ambitious and just understand we have a good thing, because we're starting to see opportunities come to us, which are tempting to take, but it means changing our philosophy.
With
Are going to get in trouble, Adam, for that? Probably.
Oh, that's pretty good. You did all right. You did all right. I mean,
it seemed pretty safe.
Yeah.
Well, you wait till the creators that aren't in this next slate are like, why is my book
Yeah.
one of the best of all?
Mine wasn't your favorite.
Okay. You didn't say my book name. Come on. Yeah.
You said changing your philosophy in there. So one of the things you did in the last run that, I don't know, I had heard different things about it, but I never really got a firm answer on it, was the customer had to pre-order the whole run in order to get them. Are you going to continue?
Didn't have to. We provided that as an option, and you get a sticker with that, and we do a little like redemption thing with the sticker. But the books are in stores. You didn't have to pre-order them. We like, as Adam was saying earlier, one of the most important things in terms of getting an independent book on the store shelves is to prove to the retail that there's interest. And so we like to do a lot of promotion to get people into the stores before the book has come out, before the book's even ordered, to say to the retailer, I like this book, I want it. In fact, here's my money, please pre-order it for me. The retailer goes, well, if you've come in, there's 2, 3, 5 people that haven't come in that want it, I'm going to up my orders, get more copies on store shelves. That's why we do that. But it's not the only way. There was many, many, many people that just turned up on a Wednesday, picked up the book because the stores ordered. They ordered their pre-orders for their pre-order customers, and then they ordered store copies on top of that.
I mean, you said it. I mean, you said it, how many creators come on here, public publishers come on and talk about, you need to go in and subscribe. You need to go in and pre-order.
Right.
I mean, that doesn't really, that does transition out of outside of comics, but we as comic book promoters, as publishers, our job is to get you to pre-order, because we know how important that one becomes to the calculus of the retailer who's deciding what goes onto the shelves. So what we did was give an incentive. We have an incentive for you to come in and pre-order.
Adam's right. It's I can't think of an entertainment industry that does it anymore. It's a product of brick and mortar stores and the way that ordering works in comics. We don't decide how many copies go in. Magazines, the book pub prose books, they decide how many copies go into the stores. Movie theaters, they negotiate with the studios for how many screens, irrelevant of pre-order, pre-sale, pre-ticket sales. Video games, it's all digital now, so mostly digital. So maybe a brick and mortar store somewhat, but not really. Comic books, 100%. Every time you guys pre-order I pre-order Adam, whatever book we're interested in, we pre-order that book. It's the most helpful thing you can do for that book, that creative team, that publisher. Absolutely most helpful thing you can do.
Yeah. And a lot of what we've done with Bad Ideas, trying to work into that, into the standard marketing, what does it take to get people in to pre-order? And we tinkered a lot with this at Valiant, and we were able to tinker even more here. So a lot of that is new, right? So some people don't quite understand how all the components of it work. So, that's a lot of information coming at everybody every day. Totally understandable. But yeah, I think that's where that comes from.
And I think before we wrap up for today, I think we did discuss quite a bit, and I know Chris and I always had our questions when you guys release books, and I think a lot of those got answered today. Is there anything that you want to share with our listeners or viewers before you leave today, or whether that's even an announcement? Are you going to make an announcement soon about the next slate or anything like that? If you can give a date or anything you want to share.
I'm very curious as to where the hard-hitting questions went.
Yeah.
You guys are going to come.
Yeah.
Chris, ahead of time to be ready. And
I think Chris underestimated how well you guys would handle those. It's
what's funny to everyone out there listening. Prior to this, I usually, when I have something in mind, I ask ahead of time just so I don't hit people during the recording. Trying to be a nice guy. I'm not a hard-hitting journalist. I'm just a guy that reads comic books and likes to talk about them. But I had a few here. And what was funny, Dinesh, is you on your own were answering the questions that I had in mind.
Oh, yeah. You guys took care of it, right?
The only one I didn't really get to was some of the...
Usually you let people know what the hard-hitting questions are going to be, but not for us. You wanted to get
No. I let you know I have them.
They're there.
You said you had one more?
The only one we didn't get to, and we kind of got to it, was like some of the like marketing. When I referred to marketing, like doing things like the invisible comic, or stuff like that, where I saw a lot of criticism that said like this is just a snake oil salesman, or this is just somebody just trying to make a name and they've got no substance, stuff like that. Like
No, I think that's interesting because it's half accurate and half not accurate. I mean, just to be a little technical here, snake oil salesman pretends the snake oil does something other than it does. We're very transparent about it. We were like, this is an invisible comic book.
Completely transparent.
There is no complete transparent. There is no, except for the staples. There is no comic in here. It even says on the CGC slab, it says there is no comic in here, not actually visible. Right. What we try and do, and I think where people get confused, because I don't think anyone's ever done this in comics, is we bring a little bit of a fine art approach to what we're doing in terms of, and this is purely, I'll explain why we do it first. This is purely because we did Valiant. All of us, so many of us at Bad Idea, creators and staff, were at Valiant. And at Valiant, we were trying to be a baby Marvel, trying to do all the traditional things, do everything right, $10 trades, constantly available back issues, just everything you would want to do, digital, collections, variants, everything. And I think we did it very well. We were very successful at it, won a lot of awards, and we're kind of bored of it. And we really got inside the belly of the industry. And there's just some weird quirks. And so now we'd be bored to do that again. So we need to challenge ourselves to do new things, but also we can't help but provide a meta commentary. And so we were talking about, there's so many people say this, you buy the book, not the grade, right? But there's so many people that just buy the grade or buy the slab. I know people that own 10 copies of the first appearance of Gambit, but have never actually read that issue, but they've got 10 graded copies. There's nothing wrong with that, but it is kind of funny. So we said to ourselves, well, how do we lean into this at the same time make fun of it? Well, what if we're literally selling them the slab? There's no comic.
It's just the grade.
Nothing inside.
Yeah.
And that evolved into, well, let's make an invisible comic. And we'll use acetate and just pretend. And so a lot of what we do, I think, is a commentary on that.
Did you just say we pretended? That technology exists, guys.
Attitude Labs does their job. Yeah. Even the donut thing, it's us, or the fact that we announced we're no longer publishing anymore. We're out of business. It's all kind of a commentary on what we're seeing happening and what we think is just kind of funny. And we're hoping to start a discourse for the people that understand what we're doing and are paying attention to what we're doing. Again, we want to be something that some people love, their favorite thing ever. And for everyone else, we don't mind if they don't like us. We don't mind if they hate us. It's kind of helpful. But for the people that are paying attention, I think they see a lot of value in the commentary. And we certainly do. We'd be bored without it. So it's a little Warhol. It's a little Banksy in that way.
A little Mad Magazine, right?
It's Mad Magazine,
Little Mad Magazine.
Yeah, Mad Magazine. Yeah.
I mean, comics and art have a long, long tradition of mocking itself. And that's part of it is like, I've worked for, at this point, something like a dozen different publishers. Like Dinesh and I have been working together for over a decade. Like we all, as a team, all of our guys, so we're all into comics. Like this is the thing that we're into. And, so what we've done is build a company that allows us to make that kind of commentary, to participate in that tradition. And yeah, man, it's supposed to piss some people off. I'm glad it does.
Speaking of Mad Magazine, that I'm going to do a little work now. That cover that we've been talking about, how do we do a fold-in like they used to do at Mad Magazine? Mad Magazine-esque story. We're wondering if that's too on the nose. I actually was thinking, what if we did a cover that was a cover, but we never told anyone to fold in? But if you folded it in, you'd actually get the real cover. It'd be like a different.
That'd be sick.
But we never tell anyone. And
I like this while we're being recorded.
Because I'm going to do this with every cover I get from you guys.
Exactly. Everyone's going to fold every cover and waiting for the one that we do.
And you never do it. That'd be the ultimate troll.
No, we do it so late that people are like, they're never going to do it. And then
they'll never do it. Yeah.
And then you're like, damn it, I gave up too early.
Or just do like a completely foil, every page foil. That'd be because that's my thing is like, if there's a foil cover, I'm after it. Now, if you do like foil cover and every page foil, this is
that Justin Jordan thing we're working on. He pitched us a story in which each page would be a different treatment. One would be foil, one would be chromium, one would be die cut. He's got a good story for it.
I'm a sucker for that shit.
I'm gonna make that.
Let's come.
I'll say as my last comment about that, I never took that side of it. I always took, I guess you guys were doing something even above my head as somebody who defended it, because I took it as like almost punk rock guerrilla marketing.
Oh, totally. Yeah,
let's just piss on these graves and then people pay attention to us.
Yeah.
And
No.
I love that mentality. Someone who grew up in the punk rock scene and loves that music and that culture. I saw that and I was just like, I see what they're doing. They're trying to
Shaking
get your
things up.
attention
Yeah.
and purposely do something that pisses you off. Because then when you bitch about it over here, this person's like, oh, that's cool. Let me look at that.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, it's definitely that too. We just sent an email out the other day. We offered Pogs. People wouldn't leave us alone with Pogs. They associate us with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We don't want to do Pogs. So finally we're like, fine, fuck you. Here are your Pogs. They're $600. We
Yeah.
dare you. Go buy $600 Pogs.
Yeah.
People did. Jokes on
Wow.
them. And
Yeah, jokes on them. They'll never get that money back.
No.
As an old collector of Pogs. Oh yeah.
And now
Mike's still waiting for the
more asks Pogs.
resurgence.
Yeah,
Ever
waiting
again.
for it.
We're
Yeah,
done.
speculating.
I know for certain there's at least one set of Pogs that's worth $600. So maybe.
At least once.
Just write bad idea on them, Mike, and then try selling them to these people.
We'll see how it works.
There you go.
We sold the rock. Do I have a rock here? We sold rocks.
Oh yeah,
That's
the
other thing,
rocks.
too.
The
That's the other
rocks.
thing. You mentioned Bunsen Beaver.
Yeah.
There's a story actually we've been starting to get in that same sort of like something you said about punk rock, and that always reminds me of zine culture. This guy, somebody, I don't want to say guy, somebody took one of our books and completely pirated it, like created their own bad idea comic.
Right. They bootlegged it.
Art that they ripped, I think, from the internet.
Wow.
Like,
Preview.
there was a book we hadn't published yet. It was one of the Bunsen Beaver stories, and he like went out and just printed his own book and started giving it away.
Wow.
These guys are Moriarty. He sends these things
crazy.
with no return address. We can't figure out who he is. He sent one to us. It was like getting a mail from a serial killer the day it arrived. It's just, got to find this guy.
I got
That's
5
insane.
handed to me at a convention. He said, "Here, this
But
should
he had
be
a mask on.
He had a mask on, like, and then just like bailed. I'm like, "What is this? I had never seen it
What?
before." Yeah,
I almost respect the hustle.
I do kind of.
Yeah.
Like, I know he's ripping you off, but like the
I'm
hustle
amazing.
is kind of respectable.
The way he's going about it, he literally is Moriartying you.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
That's
We're going to get him,
insane.
though. We're going to catch him.
That's
Oh,
gonna
man.
happen.
I hope you do.
But yeah, guys,
You guys asked for an announcement. I do have one that kind of a new one that involves something we're doing. I just want to announce here officially, Adam is not bald. This is a choice. This hairstyle, this shaved head is a choice. He wants everyone to know it is not a receding hairline.
Okay, great. That's
Just like Vin Diesel.
That's probably
Adam,
the
this
best
is my
announcement of
plan.
the year.
Because I'm thinking decades ahead.
That's
all
right. Baby. You and I, long game.
I still have I still have all my
Yes.
hair. I have a nice head of hair. People get mad I wear a hat all the time. And I said, in 30 years, when I start going bald and I leave the horseshoe, you won't know the fucking difference because I'll still have my hat on.
You don't know. That's right.
Nobody will know.
Somebody who did that with a Nerd Boss hat.
The Nerd Boss hat? No. It's not true.
Oh man.
Not all of us are as lucky as you, Adam, to make the choice.
Yeah,
That's right.
Not everybody has that.
Not everybody's lucky enough to have this kind of gorgeous head. This is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
there you
Like,
go.
you don't want to hide this from
Now everybody's got to go to YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify, check that out. So,
See, now it's going to be
zoom
like
in.
that episode of Seinfeld, Adam, where one day you decide to grow it back out and you realize that you actually did lose your hair.
Yes.
Oh, it was never there to begin with. Dinesh, Adam, guys, thanks so much for spending your Saturday with us. We appreciate it.
Oh, this is super fun.
Yeah, and we'd love to have you back on for next season.
Yeah, but before we say goodbye completely, first, anything you guys want to pimp out, whether it be social media, I mean, obviously the Kickstarter, so on and so forth.
The Megalith Kickstarter, absolutely. We want to get as many people to be aware of that now, because we're very nervous that once it ends, we're going to get a lot of people saying, "Oh, I want one." And we're like, "Well, we're not going to go back and make another. This is it." Other than that, I mean, Bad Idea Hello is our Twitter handle, Instagram handle also, at Bad Idea Hello. That's it.
Yeah.
Adam is at full head of hair on Instagram, and Bald Life on Twitter. He's like Blade. He's a daywalker. He goes between worlds.
Daywalker. He walks between worlds. Oh my god! And
I'm not participating in this. I'm not. I'm going
to find both those handles, and if they're available, I'm getting them. I'm going to put a photo of you on there. I'm going to create a fake account.
Please do. Amazing.
I cannot wait.
And with that, everybody out there, as always, I will have that link to the Kickstarter in the show notes down below, so you can just click on it and check it out. Guys, the book looks phenomenal. I love how open you are with everything we talked about today, so thank you for that. And not that you need it, but best of luck with the rest of the campaign.
Thanks, guys. You guys are awesome.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Thanks for taking the time, guys.
Super fun.